Okay, so now I'm going to cover some Fusion 360 basics. Okay, this over here, okay, so I'm going to break it down. On the left here, we have what I just referred to as the left bar. It's where all the different files are kept. We'll learn in another video how the files interact with one another. Okay, up here on the top, we have the toolbar. Okay, usually you are on the solids bar, though you may have to flip to, you will have to flip to the VEX CAD library bar and also flip to the utilities bar for certain tools that we will need to use in the future. Okay, this over here is the browser. It will, right now this is an empty file, but later on you'll see it will have all the different components and imported components over here under the browser, and it lets you keep track of all the different pieces in your file. Okay, and then here I just call this part the window where we actually get to look around at the file. Okay, right now I am manipulating the camera that views the file in this window. Okay, and how do I manipulate the camera? So first I'll cover Apple with trackpad. If you're on an Apple computer with a trackpad, what I'm doing right now is using 2 fingers scrolling across the trackpad. This lets you do something called panning, where you pan across the screen. You're just moving the camera left, right, up, down, okay, but keeping it in the same orientation. If I hold shift while I drag 2 fingers around, now I'm rotating the camera. Okay, it's not very relevant in this file because there's nothing in it, but usually where you put your mouse is the point that the camera is going to rotate around. In this case, it's just rotating around the origin of the file, which we can all see here because there's nothing in it, but usually it'd rotate where you put your mouse. So if I put my mouse over some piece that's over here, that would be the point the camera pivots around, something that's useful to keep in mind. And the last camera manipulation is just zooming in and out. This is like zooming in and out the document. You know, you spread fingers to zoom in, close fingers to zoom out. Okay. Okay, if you're on a Windows machine, Windows laptop, Windows trackpad will actually not work properly. You can't do these kinds of manipulations for some reason. It just doesn't work. Though, if you use a mouse, and you can use a mouse with an Apple computer or a mouse with a Windows computer, you hold down the middle mouse button, okay, to pan, shift and middle mouse button to rotate, and you scroll the scroll wheel to zoom in and out. Okay, there's a chance this is a glitch that happens on Apple devices specifically. Sometimes these shortcuts do not work for manipulating the camera. In that case, you click on yourself in the top right corner and you go to Preferences. Let this load up. Okay, so now we got all our preferences here. When that happens, right, you go to Pan, Zoom, Orbit Shortcuts. You change this to SolidWorks. Click Apply. Click OK. Usually it starts working immediately because the SolidWorks shortcuts are the exact same as the Fusion 360 shortcuts. Though it rotates the camera a bit differently, so then I would go back and switch them to the original Fusion 360 shortcuts. To click Apply, click OK. All right, and then we're good to go. And yeah. Okay. Another problem you might run into, I'll just point out now, is that maybe your Fusion 360 is not in an online state. That will screw up opening all the files on the left and really being able to do anything properly in Fusion 360. So you click on this clock-looking symbol here. It says Job Status, right? And you just flick the switch on and off. So now we're offline, and then you flick it back on, and it says going online, and then we get back all of our normal capabilities. Okay. One final thing I'll say is that usually we start on this solid menu here in the toolbar, right? And there might be a time where I say, modify. And when I say modify, usually I will not be, okay, for VEX CADing specifically, I will never be referring to this modify menu here that has all of these different tools under it. When I say modify, I'll actually mean this tool over here, and you have to switch from solid to the VEX CAD library menu to use the modify part tool. One more thing is that you will have to change your document settings. So you click this drop down arrow beside document settings in this file to click on this pencil symbol beside units to click on change active units. And the default is usually millimeters, so you need to switch this to inches and then check mark set as default and then click OK. All right.